This is probably a really bold statement, but this has got to be one of the greatest movies known to man. And that movie is Bonnie and Clyde. This is a total golden age classic that, it doesn't matter whether you're a film buff or not. All of you have had to watch this film at least once. You know, it is a cultural landmark. Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway are, absolutely, powerful in their titular roles. And this film, on the whole, the atmosphere, the violence, the 1930s settings, everything about this film is just absolutely incredible. This was one of the most controversial films of 1967, and it remains because back then they were the film industry was like very strict about the level of violence and sex in movies. So and during those times, this was during a time where they didn't even come up with with the Motion Picture Association of America did not even have ratings for them. If this movie came out today, it would at least be R, or at least PG-13, but aimed at a more mature audience. This although in Canada it was rated 14A, which is close to kind of in between PG-13 and R. But like I said, this movie is a cultural landmark. It is very timeless, and even if you're not a film buff, you at least have to watch this film at least once or twice because it's just that great. And the great thing about this film is that it has influenced many other films of the subgenre involving the lovers on the lamb kind of genre. This movie was based on a true story, but this film has like I said, has influenced film, a lot of films similar to this. In the 70s, there was this movie called Badlands, directed by Terrence Malick, one of the greatest films of all time. Terrence Malick has done Days of Heaven and The Thin Red Line, but Badlands is kind of very similar to this because it involves a girl being involved with a dangerous man, and they go on the run, commit crimes and whatnot, and but the subgenre actually became more relevant during the early 90s as certain movies were released, movies that were a part of that genre, and they're not as good as this, but they have, because they have different storylines, same like I said, lovers on the lamb genre, but with sort of similar different storylines and situations and characterizations. But for this video, I want to show you four of my favorite movies that are similar to this, and I'd like to briefly discuss and recommend them. So just sit back and enjoy. First one, True Romance. This is a total cult classic. It is written by Quentin Tarantino. This was actually after he wrote and directed Reservoir Dogs. This film was made in 1993, and it is directed by Tony Scott. He's directed quite a few of my favorite films: Enemy of the State, Spy Game. He's also directed Top Gun, Days of Thunder. He directed. He's done a ton of great movies, and unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But his brother Ridley Scott is still around. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. The cast, the story, the characters, Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette have great chemistry, and the violence and action is just amazing. You know, like they go on the run, like they accidentally take a briefcase full of cocaine with them, and like the mob is like after them. It's just fantastic. You know, great cast, great soundtrack. You know, great. You know, Val Kilmer has a very, you know, brief cameo as, you know, Elvis, but not really Elvis something. And Christopher Walken, Brad Pitt, you know, just amazing direction, amazing cinematography, awesome acting, just all around great. California. I mentioned this in a few past videos. This is another. I wouldn't really say that it's a Lovers on the Lamb kind of film, but well, because like the plot involves like a journalist who goes on the road with like a couple, and they like try to research serial killers, but then irony sets in. I'm not going to give you away the plot, but this is an excellent movie. This is a total cult film. This is like one of the most underrated 90s films. On WatchMojo.com, this was mentioned as an honorable mention on like the top 10 most underrated movies of the 90s. Like along with that, movies like the Long Kiss Goodnight, that Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson film, and and what's the other one? Oh yeah, what is that? It's some other good movies like Devil in a Blue Dress, directed by Carl Franklin. That's another underrated film, and some other good movies that were mentioned. Oh, and Hard Eight was mentioned too, and and this was mentioned. This got mixed reviews at the time because critics, some critics like thought it was just like a really sleazy, exploitation film, but a lot of critics like praise it for its art house qualities, and like and I would have to say, I wouldn't say it's an art house film, but it is an awesome it's an awesome experience. Brad Pitt is a total creep in it, but moving on. Love in a 45. This was made in 94. Good cast, and also another great soundtrack. The soundtrack in here is like absolutely fantastic. You got Jesus and Mary Chain, Butthole Surfers, Meat Puppets, Mazzy Star, the Reverend Horton Heat. How can you go wrong? And like the cast is excellent. Gil Bellows and Renee Zellweger in one of her earlier roles, and Rory Cochrane is in it, the guy who played Slater in Dazed and Confused, and he was also in Empire Records and had a very brief role in Argo. Great film. So yeah, this is another Lovers on the Lamb kind of film. Very similar to Bonnie and Clyde, but more like kind of like a early 90s MTV version of it, and just all around fantastic. And last but not least, one of my all-time favorite movies ever, and that is Natural Born Killers, directed by Oliver Stone. And this was actually based on a story by Quentin Tarantino. He did I think he did a rewrite for this film, but so this has like an excellent cast. Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis are, very phenomenal as Mickey and Mallory Knox. And this film, it's both a Lovers on the Lamb film, but also like an allegorical take on like violence in society and how the media makes like psychos into like media darlings. It's kind of like the movie To Die For, with Nicole Kidman. But this film is like this was actually, unlike most of these movies, this actually kind of got mixed reviews because of its extreme violence and exploitative nature. But like it's a great movie if you want to like take a break from all the new stuff that's not as good as what they made back in the day. I would suggest this film. This Robert Downey Jr. plays Wayne Gale, the sleazy tabloid journalist who tries to exploit Mickey and Mallory's criminal acts and make them into like media heroes. It's totally awesome. It's just I would personally recommend. Oh, and the soundtrack, you can never go wrong with it. I mean, L7's Shit List, a few Leonard Cohen songs, and 9 Inch Nails is something I can never have. That appears in this film, and like Patti Smith, great stuff. So yeah, these movies I would definitely recommend. If you are, for those of you who have seen Bonnie and Clyde but have not seen those movies, I would personally recommend them. They're absolutely awesome. They are, one of the best movies some of the best films you'll ever see. But if you have like a very particular taste and not too much into, extreme violence, then these movies may not be a total recommendation because some of them, especially Natural Born Killers and California, they are most definitely not for the faint of heart. But I would still give them a glance, and if you like them, that's awesome. Thanks for watching.